guys, welcome to ITS Tactical. On today's review, we're going to go through a couple of offerings from Source. We've got a lineup of their hydration bladders, as well as some accessories we're going to go through. So let's take a look at a couple of their offerings we have. Today, we're going to be going over the WXP 3-liter bladder, the Kangaroo 1-liter bladder, as well as a bladder that's not quite on the market yet, but it's an offering that is basically a partnership with Combat Medical Systems and Source. They put together this Canine reservoir, and I'll talk about that as well. Then we've got a couple of accessories we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the differences in the mouthpieces that they have. They have the Storm as well as the Helix, and I'll get into those in a second. And also a cool little invention called the UTA, which is a fill adapter that will enable you to fill any of their reservoirs with a quick disconnect system from any faucet or sink or anything like that. So first off, let me talk about why I really like Source hydration reservoirs. I've used hydration reservoirs for the better part of 10 years now, and I've only recently, within the last year and a half to 2 years, started using Source products, and I absolutely love them. I used to use Camelback stuff, and this isn't a knock against Camelback, but I feel like Source has got a better product, and I want to tell you guys about it. Essentially, a couple of the things that I really like about Source versus a Camelback, and I don't want to turn this into a comparison article, but I am going to note a couple of features, and you'll see why I like the Source over the Camelback. One of the things is that with the Camelback, I'm sure many of you have experienced the nasty bladder taste in your mouth from using a hydration system. And first of all, I get none of that with a Source reservoir. They have kind of a, excuse me, micro bacterial coating or antimicrobial coating, I think is what they call it, on their bladder and their tube. And I know Camelback's got some stuff like that too, but I think it really does help the Source reservoir to not have any kind of taste related with it. I filled it multiple times over and over again, even without cleaning, and I haven't got that taste in my mouth as I have with Camelback or some of the other reservoirs I've used. Another thing I really like about Source, and that has plagued me with Camelback, this is what finally forced my hand to go with something else, is that Camelback bladders, I don't know what they're offering now because I haven't, as I've said, I haven't bought a new offering from Camelback in about 2 years, but this point right here at which the tube connects to the bladder, I'll pull this off here so you can see, leaks. I don't know if it's just an issue with the two that I have, but both of them have done it to me. They've been in backpacks or packs and things like that, and they've leaked from this point. And not just a little bit, they've actually leaked half the water out before in this, I think this is a 100-ounce bladder right here from Camelback. Yep. But it's leaked over half the water out on me before, and that's just not something I want to deal with anymore. Over here on the Source bladder, they've got a quick disconnectable hydration tube, which is cool. All you do is push this little detent down here and just eject the tube, which is really neat. And what's great about it is, I'll kind of show you here, I'll actually breathe some air into this, and you can see that if this was water that it was filled with and you disconnected the tube, that's going to stay in there. There's no water that's going to leak out of that, and if there was water in there, it would do the same thing, trust me. It stays secure. There's not any kind of leakage associated with removing the tube. So you can dock this tube in and out all day long without leaking any water out of the main reservoir compartment, which is a really cool feature. Obviously, that's not going to happen to you with a Camelback reservoir or something of this similar design. Another thing that separates the two is the cleaning feature on it. I know that Source advocates that you don't have to clean their bladder, but hey, in the event that you do, let me show you the difference between the two. Now, Camelback has gone in the better part of the last couple of years with a wider reservoir opening or wider fill cap opening, so you can actually get your hand in here to clean and things like that. Well, you're still reaching through a small diameter hole, and it's still kind of a pain to get your hand all the way in there to clean it. Well, what Source has done is, instead of dealing with a bigger cap, which Camelback has done, just disconnect that to get it out of the way. So they've got a smaller cap, a smaller fill cap, which I also like that it's tethered. Camelbacks is kind of tethered on a plastic lanyard, but this actually has a small piece of a dummy cord or cordage on it, which I like. But instead of creating a larger fill cap, they've actually come up with the idea to have a removable, figure out which way that goes, a removable thing at the top, and they don't really call this anything that I could find on their website, but they've got that deal that comes off the top, so you can actually fully reach your arm into the bottom of the bladder. So you can see that my hand goes all the way inside there, and it's not an issue to open up the bladder. That would also be great in the situation where you were, putting ice in the bladder and things like that, and you were filling the bladder. It's got a nice wide opening at the top to put whatever you want into it. Quick way to fill it as well. Along with a quick way to fill on the source reservoirs, I'll put this back on here real quick. Along with the quick way to fill is the fact that, well, first let me get into the mouthpieces, and then I'll kind of get into this unit here. But another thing I like about differences between the Camelback and the source is the angle on the mouthpiece. Camelback, they've got a bite valve like this that you bite, which to me this actually leaks a lot. I don't get a nice seal after I'm done drinking as I'd like. I mean, there is this tube cap that I have to go over the Camelback, but I still find it's a pain to cap off and without leaking. I know I've set this bladder down, whether it's in a backpack or what, many times where, this gets depressed while it's sitting down and the water comes out. It does have a lock feature here, and that shuts the water flow off on the Camelback, which is nice. But on the other hand, I really like the angle, the 90-degree angle that the source bite valves have. And these are also quick disconnectable. So same thing as before, if you disconnect the bite valve, you're still not going to compromise the integrity of the watertight seal that you have. So these are quick disconnectable without leaking water at all, which is nice. I happen to really like the Helix valve. This is their newer valve style called the Helix, and to open the water flow you simply twist it, and you can really do that with your mouth pretty easily, and then you just simply bite down. Their older style valve called the Storm, which I have right here, utilized just a simple pull-out technique, and I really didn't like that valve. I'm really glad they came out with the Helix, because this is really easy to come undone. It's not as secure as, the Storm is not as secure as the Helix valve is, so I really like this valve style, the Helix right here. So again, quick disconnectable 90-degree angle, which is great. I definitely think it's a benefit over the Camelback. It actually gets it right up to your mouth versus kind of having to come in at an angle with the Camelback reservoir. Again, that's kind of enough of the compare and contrast. I don't want to really turn this into a dedicated, Camelback versus source article, and that's not kind of my intent. But I do want to show you some of the differences there. Again, they also dummy cord the cap that this comes with, which is nice. I like that they take the time to add the small cordage in on the fill cap, as well as this opening here, and on the bite valve itself for dummy cording, which is great, so you don't lose those little pieces. This is the 3-liter WXP, as I said before. They also make a 1-liter kangaroo bladder, which I also really like a lot. This is great. It's actually the same size as kind of a USGI canteen, which is nice. So it'll fit in any kind of canteen pocket pouch that you might have or anything like that. Again, the same method here. It's got the quick disconnectable hose as well as the bite valve. It does have this Velcro wrapping on it, which is nice. It helps secure it to chest rigs and things like that you might be running this on. The actual fill cap is a little different on these two, and that's kind of what I want to highlight next. As you can see on the Kangaroo, the 1-liter, it doesn't have that nice wide opening that the WXP is capable of, so it doesn't necessarily have the room for you to get your hand in there to clean it and things like that. Now, Source does advocate that you don't have to clean them, but again, that is something to keep in mind. They both have these rings here that can move if you open this and adjust this outer ring. This is able to be loosened, so you can completely remove this fill ring if you wanted to. But once you loosen the fill ring, put this back on here. Once you loosen it, you're able to turn this, and that's just kind of a handle here to hold it as you're filling it, if you want to use that method to fill your bladder. Same thing with the kangaroo. This again is just a kind of a place to hold your hand as you're filling it. What it's got on here is you can totally disconnect the hose on the kangaroo and use this purely as a canteen. So this is a pop-up valve here, and you can squeeze water right into your mouth through the fill valve there, or obviously, like we just showed, you can dock in a hose just like this and use it as a normal hydration bladder if you want to have a smaller hydration bladder. Now also, once the cap is removed, which that's also got a piece of cordage on it to secure the cap, just in case so you don't lose it, you can also completely remove the cap, and you've got a standard fill port on this thing. So I want to now also talk about the little UTA fill device, because I think it's important at this point to know that you don't have to fill it right from this little port. Yes, that's a small place to fill from, and that was my concern when I purchased these valves too. And then I started looking at a device they came out with called the UTA, which kind of solved my problem. So basically, once you have your hose docked in here, all you have to do is remove the bite valve and plug in the UTA, and now you've got a place to fill it from anything. You can have a standard water bottle and squeeze it in there to fill up the bladder. You can hook this under a sink and fill it from a sink, and you can also hook it to a water spigot and fill it as well. So there's a lot of different uses for this little UTA device, and I really like it. It's a nice little innovation. It's a nice way to fill your bladder, especially because you don't have to take your bladders out of whatever you have them in to fill them. So you don't have to pull this big chunky 3-liter bladder out of your backpack to put more water in it. You can simply grab the hydration tube from the bladder, hook in the UTA, and fill it right from there. So very simple, easy way to fill a bladder with the UTA. They also make this small pouch from Source. Picked up this as well, so this kind of fits the Source UTA right in there, and it's a MOLLE pouch, so you can put that onto your gear. It's a single channel MOLLE if that's something you want to do. And I also want to touch at this point on the Combat Medical Systems offering, the Source pairing that Combat Medical Systems offers. Now I'm not quite sure if this is something that Source is going to release in the future, but this particular bladder came from a Combat Medical Systems Canine offering that they have, and it's great because what it does is it gives you a secondary bladder to put in your pack if you're running a canine operation, and basically you've got a water bladder for your canine. So the nice thing about this is it's got a spigot on it, so all you do is grab this out of your pack with the pull handle here, and you can see it's also got this deal to remove it and fill it from the top as well. But all you do is grab this from your pack, put your canine bowl down there, turn the spigot, and you can fill up a dog's water bowl easily without having to take your bladder and do the technique where I'm sure people even with dogs have known that when you want to fill your dog's water bowl when you're out on a hike, you have to take your hydration reservoir and open it up and squeeze it into a water bowl or something like that, and then put pressure on the bladder to give yourself some pressure to fill it. Well, hopefully this is an actual public offering very soon, and hikers and climbers and also military and law enforcement working canine operations will have the option to pick up this bladder as well for filling a canine, taking care of your canine's water needs. So one thing I want to talk about at this point, now that we've kind of covered the array of bladders we have here, is I want to talk about a couple of offerings from London Bridge. They make some specific pouches for these bladders. This happens to be their 6142E pouch. These are insulated pouches, which is pretty nice. They're pretty bulky, in terms of kind of their width and height, but they offer a nice way to mount a insulated pouch onto your equipment. So if you look inside here, the interior of this is lined with kind of a space-age insulated liner, and they have been holding up fairly well. You'll kind of notice in the corner here that it's ripped on me a little bit, so it's not particularly bomb-proof. I really do think this is some kind of space age material, something on the spaceship. I think I've read that before, but I'll make sure I note that in the article. But like I said, kind of putting the source reservoir in and out in these kind of hard edges here on the sides is kind of, I think, what ripped the side of this on me. But they do keep cool beverages cold and hot beverages hot a lot better than a normal bladder pouch would for a hydration reservoir. So definitely check these out from London Bridge if you're interested. This has got a small little webbing loop of Velcro here to hook on the top of the source reservoir and secure it in the pouch. They've also got a pouch for the kangaroo as well. I've got this mounted to a chest rig here. This is the same type of deal. This is the 6142A, and this is also from London Bridge, same type of deal, insulated interior, but it's a small profile to fit the kangaroo from Source. So you definitely check out these pouches from London Bridge if you're interested. I'll have some more information about these in the article that will supplement this video review. That's pretty much it, I think. One thing I do want to mention is that for a long time, Source was not able to be purchased in the United States. I know I got these from Tactical Distributors. I know they're a Source dealer, so definitely check them out. They're actually one of our sponsors, and they help support us, so definitely help support them if you can. Head over there and check out their offerings from Source. I'm not sure if you can get stuff online direct from Source. I know that you couldn't when I purchased these. I'm not sure if that's changed or not, but you can definitely check out their website as well. I think they've got a pretty good website now. Used to be kind of vague about finding out information on how to purchase this stuff. So that's pretty much it. We'll try to splice in a review or an actual use application of the little UTA fill adapter, and I'll try to cut to that right now. Hey guys, I'm going to show you how this UTA works on the source reservoir. Basically all you're going to do is take the bite valve off. You're going to plug in the UTA and make sure everything's crimped off or closed off and hooked back in. And you're just going to insert this into the UTA. Turn your water on slowly. Start filling your bladder without you having to remove the hose at all. Alright, so once you're done filling, just take this, remove this, put your bite valve back on. Now you have your water ready to go. That's how to use the UTA. Hope you guys enjoyed the Source video review. These are a couple offerings from Source, a couple of hydration bladders. Let us know if you have any questions, and be sure to check out the full article on itstactical.com for more info and pictures. Thanks for watching.